There you are. Now I can see you. So it's an honor and a privilege to be here. I am a month back from this amazing trip in Italy. My mother's Italian. She's from the Northern Alps. She's actually from the Trentino Adige area. And she was raised in this small village surrounded by the Alps and the Dolomites. And so my sister and I and her went for 3 weeks and had such an exquisite time. So I just want to give you a little backdrop of Trento. It's a small town. It's maybe 100,000 people. I think it's smaller. People are riding their bikes. They're walking. The men from the neighborhood meet at the hotel that we stayed at to play cards and have cocktails. They come in the morning and have coffee. Everybody knows everybody. You walk to the co-op. You walk to the pharmacia. Every week around the corner by the church, there's a different truck selling either fruits and vegetables or bread or fish or chicken. And it was just this small town life that was just this beautiful, slow pace. And then my mother's town is about 10 minutes north of that. And there's only 2,500 people in Sopramonte. And so we were immersed in this exquisite beauty. And this talk is about beauty, but it's actually inspired by a conversation, a very brief conversation we had with this woman in Trento. So Trento is known historically for the Third Council of Trent that happened there, where there was a lot of changes in the Catholic Church. And you are surrounded by Gothic and Romanesque, buildings, like the Duomo was built in the 11th century. And then the piazza has these older, homes above the shops, and these yellow and orange and green buildings with these dark colored wooden balconies and flowers everywhere. And so people literally walk. So they block off. You can't drive into this area where people are shopping. So there's restaurants, there's shops, there's gelaterias, there's the Bertoli bakery that's been around since 1920. And there's all this activity that is just I call it the life-giving of God. And then there's the Church of Santa Maria Maggiore, which dates back to 1520. You've got the Fountain of Neptune. So I'm immersed in these sights and these sounds. And on the buildings, there's some of the old frescoes, what's remaining, that I imagine the people, 300, 400, 500 years ago living in that area. So anyhow, we were downtown. Now, I'm not a shopper. My mom and my sister are shoppers. So I'm usually outside taking pictures. But this time we were walking together, and I tend to notice, the beauty that's around me. And I notice the beauty in the people. I notice the flowers. I notice patterns. I'm an amateur photographer. And I looked up and I noticed this interesting art piece. And they look like swings, like the bottom of swings, and they were painted. And then there's these like this, it looked like horsetails, but it was some natural plant that was hanging with wires that were crisscrossed. And so I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, I'm not even having any judgmental thoughts. I'm just looking at it and I'm curious. And that's the first thing about what we're going to talk about, is like slowing down and being present. So anyhow, my mom and my sister and I are talking about it, and I'm like, ask somebody, Ma, because she's fluent in Italian. And so she walks up to this elegant older woman, and my mother asks her in Italian. She's like, okay, we're looking up, what is this? And the older woman looked up and she smiled, and with clear confidence, she said, per la bellezza, for the beauty. And then she walked away. And it was one of those moments that just really pierced my heart. And I looked up again, and it's like, yeah, this is the Italian way, just for the beauty. There was no conversation about who the artist was. There was nothing about, any critiques. It was just for the beauty. And so it inspired me to have this conversation about how often do you slow down and notice beauty, whether it's the landscapes around you, whether it's art. But for me, beauty is that reminder, not actually reminder, it's the experience, a visible and visceral experience of the divine. Now, the founder of Centers for Spiritual Living, Religious Science, Ernest Holmes, says, the original spirit is harmony. It is beauty and truth and everything that goes with the ultimate reality. So beauty is that experience with the ultimate reality. But we live in a world we're rush. And if you don't know this, neuroscience is now teaching us that when you are so focused, you miss out on everything else, because you've narrowed your focus, that all you're seeing is, I've got to get to this point, or I need to go get that done, or I'm driving here, and you miss all that is around you. And what The invitation is it's what's called involuntary focus, that to spend time. And when you travel, you might have an agenda. Like we really never had an agenda. We had family to go see. We ate a lot of pasta and pizza and gelato. We were taken up in the mountains, but we never had like this, I got to do this and I got to do this now. So there was a more spaciousness in our ability to be there, except for the epic Italian wedding that I went to that was all day long, and talk about beauty. But what I noticed was this way of life where they give a spaciousness in their life to be with beauty. I mean, you go around the corner and you're at the River Adige. You look out of your backyard and there's the Italian Alps. You look at the bakery and their pastries just were so beautiful just to look at, and then the ability to enjoy them. And so I started contemplating, like, so beauty, what is this beauty? I'm not talking about physical beauty of a person. I'm just talking about this quality of God that expresses, that is the way that the divine shows up. And I found this piece, it's about 5 paragraphs. I normally don't read stuff, but I'm going to switch my glasses, that for me felt like it expressed what I felt in that moment when I saw this piece. This comes from the New York Times. And it's actually Andre Aciman and his books, 2 books that he wrote, Call Me by Your Name and Find Me. I haven't read, but I loved what he wrote. This really touched my heart. So he says, we'll do anything to watch a sunset on a clear summer day at the beach. We'll stand and stare and remain silent as suffused shades of orange stretch over the horizon. Meanwhile, the sun, like a painter who keeps changing his mind about which colors to use, finally resolves everything with shades of pink and light yellow before sinking finally into stunning whiteness. Suddenly, we are marveled and uplifted, pulled out of our small, ordinary lives and taken to a realm far richer and more eloquent than anything we know. Call it enchantment, the difference between the time-bound and the timeless, between us and the otherworldly. All beauty and art evoke harmonies that transport us to a place where, for only seconds, time stops and we are one with the world. It is the best life has to offer. Under the spell of beauty, we experience a rare condition called plenitude, where we want for nothing. It isn't just a feeling, or if it is, then it's a feeling like love. Yes, exactly like love. Love, after all, is the most intimate thing we know. And feeling one with someone or something isn't just an unrivaled condition, but one we do not want to live without. We fall in love with sunsets and beaches, with tennis, with works of art, with places like Tuscany and the Rockies and the south of France, and of course, with other people. Not just because of who or what they are, but because they promise to realign us with our better selves, with the people we've always known we were, but neglected to become, the people we crave to be before our time runs out. Beauty. I'll post a copy of that. Beauty is that experience of love, of life, the self-givingness of God. I had a friend once that I would go walking with, and it was always a constant reminder to have him pause and see all the beautiful flowers. He would get in his head and he was going over his business plan. I'm like, hey, did you see that poppy over there? And then we'd walk some more. And I'm like, hey, did you see that hydrangea over there? And we keep walking. I'm like, oh, look, a hawk just flew by. And it was trying to shift him from his head to his heart, to be present to beauty. So per la bellezza, for beauty, the very first thing is slowing down, being present, being curious to enjoy life. And that's an open awareness. And that's that enchantment and plenitude that he talked about, that we allow ourselves just to not have any kind of thought, to be in that timelessness, even if it's for 2 seconds, but allowing beauty to like have its way with us in the moment. So on this trip, it's impossible not to notice the beauty. So when you slow down and you're present and you're curious and you have open awareness, then of course you're going to notice the beauty and you're going to linger in the beauty. And when you're lingering in beauty, it's an invitation of that non-judgmental awareness. And that non-judgmental awareness just allows you to be present and to receive. So we are going to show a 3-minute video. I take thousands of photographs. David and I were talking about that earlier, because one, I'm also a mindfulness teacher, so I'm very present. So it's like these moments that caught my attention were, whether it's the beauty of God in a person, the beauty of God in a pastry, the beauty of God in art, the beauty of God in history and culture. And so I put together just a 3-minute video, and the invitation is to just notice what you notice, see what catches your attention. So enjoy this for 3 minutes. Thank you, Reverend David. So let's be a little interactive here. Drop into the chat anything that you noticed. What caught your eye? And I'll read a couple of them as they pop in, but what caught your eye? Yummy, David. The food caught your eye. Good, good. The sunsets, yes. Who else? What else caught your eye? What did you notice as far as beauty? Anybody typing? Yes. The girls holding hands. The clothesline lady. Yes, that was great. I loved catching her. And when she saw me downstairs, she smiled even more because they hang out their clothes. What else? What else did you notice? Anybody else? Neptune. Yes, the fountain of Neptune. The bird? Yeah, so the bird in the room, that was my room. So my symbol for my ministry, I had the flower of life. And when I walked into the room, they're renovating, there was the flower of life, and the bird's a very powerful symbol for me. So yes, the open windows, yes. Waterfall, the gnome's beard. Yes, I love the gnomes. And I know it was a quick 3-minute video. The colors of the drink, yes, you notice. And that blue was some drink that my mother had that was phenomenal. And the orange is the Aperol that they drink. The chapel, there were several beautiful chapels that I put in there. The little boy looking at oranges and pastries, yeah. And he had his little car. If you watch the video again, he had like a little car, and he reminded me of my nephew, Anthony. So that was just a very brief glimpse. Pizza. Oh, the pizza there is phenomenal. And I took a picture of the cut pizza. They normally don't cut it for you. All right. You have to cut your own. So those were moments of me noticing beauty in this landscape. And like I said, that is just a taste of what I experienced. There's sanctuaries. There's a lot of sacred sites with appearances of Mother Mary. And like I said, I'm not judging my mother and my sister. They were there to shop. They love shopping. So I had a lot more time just to look and connect and see people and notice the beauty of the individuals, but then look up and noticing the beauty of, these homes that people have lived for generations, and to understand that, wow, this is how God shows up. And like the woman said, this is all just for the beauty, and just to allow ourselves to experience that. So to be in the beauty, per la bellezza, just for the beauty, whether it's art or nature, or when you serve an exquisite meal, do you allow yourself just to savor it, to rest in it, to be in appreciation? And for me, that's pure awareness. So you have the open awareness of slowing down, being present, and being curious. That opens you up to have this visceral experience of the divine. And then noticing the beauty, you allow yourself to linger in that non-judgmental awareness. You're just meeting the moment, causes and conditions just as they are. And you're paying attention to the details of the divine. But to savor the moment and to the rest in the moment, that pure awareness fills my soul, fills my soul. And so the invitation is, how often in life do you pause, notice, and linger in beauty? Or when do you create something just for the beauty? Like I have friends who, when they cook, they serve with little flowers and they make designs, and the meal, they present it in such an exquisite way that the very first thing, you've got the the aroma, the aromatic sensation, but then you're enveloped in this beauty of the serving, and you can feel the divine energy in it. So I'm going to ask you one more question, because I like to be a little more interactive. And the invitation this time is, where in your life, one thing that you've experienced that still to this day just stands out to you as one of those timeless moments where you're present to beauty just for the sake of beauty? And let's not be shy. Put it in the chat. I like a little more interaction. One moment of beauty. So the architecture of, what's UCL? University of, you're gonna have to tell me what the UCL is. Oh, UCLA. Okay, yes, beautiful. Who else? One moment of beauty that you noticed. Maybe it's when you first saw your baby, if you have children, or your grandchildren. Like when I first saw my nieces and nephews, it took my breath away. The beauty of God present. The ocean. Thank you, Linda. The ocean. I lived in California for 8 years, and there's timelessness when you're standing in this ocean that seemed to be infinite. Anybody else? The mountains near you? Huge fields of daffodils in Dundee, Scotland. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Donald. I can imagine that. And also, what did you feel? Hydrangeas? Anybody else? Noticing beauty, being with beauty? Don't be shy. The clouds. Yes, Greta. One of my favorite things to do is to watch the clouds. I was doing that in Italy. I got a lot of cloud pictures too from Italy. How they seem to shape shift and dance and make characters. And just in that moment, you're so with those clouds. Birds here and squirrels. Oh, yeah. And playing. They're playing. Good. Riding in our family boat off the coast of Jacksonville, Florida, playing and swimming with dolphins. I felt God's presence as a preschooler. Oh, that's beautiful, Marianne. Yes. Lori, my beloved husband, sleeping and snoring. I love that. Thank you. Chris, Calla Lily in my aunt's backyard when I was a little girl. I love that. These beautiful moments, I call those postmarks on infinity. when beauty just touches your heart. Audrey, my mom's irises. Betsy, listening to the ocean when I'm sitting on warm white sand. Oh, that's beautiful. I can feel the energy of each post in the chat, and just notice how it makes you feel. Now, from a mindfulness perspective, in mindfulness, we want to always be present. Janet, sunrises and sunsets, beautiful. Thank you for noticing. That's the other thing. A lot of times with especially sunrises or sunsets, one time I was at Central Market and the sunset was just exquisite. So it's, one of our grocery stores here. And I was taking pictures, and this girl walked to her car next to mine. She put her groceries to the right, and I watched her as she opened up a yogurt, and she sat in her car eating yogurt, watching the sunset, because I had stopped because it was so astonishing and I was taking pictures. Margie, listening to the waves. Oh, the waves are just they are very enchanting. These are moments when we taste the oneness of God, those timeless moments when there's no thought that is present because you're so immersed. Even if it's a millisecond, that's that gap that they talk about, where you're allowing yourself to be completely filled and fulfilled by the moment and beauty. Thank you all. Anybody else who wants to share? We got there? Thank you all. So here's the invitation, per la bellezza, for the beauty. Do you ever stop yourself from maybe doing something or experiencing something because you are afraid of judgment? Like this art piece, I had no critical thought about it. I was just like, oh, that's interesting. But it's like, what is that? And all of a sudden, it's just like when she said for the beauty, it's just I allowed myself just to look up and be in it. And I'll post the full picture on your Facebook page later tonight. But the invitation with beauty is this, is that there's so much that is God expressing, that I feel like beauty is intentional to remind us to pause, to remind us that we're part of something so vast and magnificent, to mirror to us the beauty that is our own life, that the way that the sunrise and the sunset pauses us, the way that the sound of the waves, listening to it, gives us this rhythmic, just like peace and joy within us, that our lives are that same expression in the world. And the invitation is to pause for beauty. That next time you go for a walk, or next time that you're driving, go a little bit slower, go the speed limit if you're driving, be mindful and careful, but to try to notice something that you never noticed before. What I was about to say earlier was that in mindfulness, when we have what we call a happy mini memory, like we just shared here, the brain actually doesn't know the difference. Now, we want to be present to beauty. We want to be present in this moment. But I notice that when I'm looking at my photographs from Italy, I get that same kind of overwhelming joy. And in mindfulness, our brain is releasing dopamine, which is why we feel good. Beauty makes us feel good. And so here's your invitation for the week, is to notice more beauty, whether it's art, and to notice it just the way it shows up. Not to analyze, critique, or maybe if they did that, or maybe if it looked like that, or maybe if my garden had this. Just be present and receive, and allow it to wash over you. Allow it to fill your heart and open your heart more. And then if you have someone to share it with, that's even better, because it's amplified when two or more are gathered. So slow down, be present, curious, open awareness. Allow yourself to notice beauty, linger in it. Who cares if somebody else is in a hurry? Just linger in it for your own feeling of that divine cup within you, and be immersed in that non-judgmental awareness. And then savor the moment, rest in it. Appreciation is so good for our entire being, and it's so good for the world, and be in that pure awareness. And I'll end with this. Italian weddings are epic, just absolutely epic. So we were invited to my mother's cousin's son was getting married. Him and his girlfriend had been together 13 years. And so, they do the wedding at the church, and just the whole ritual, like the bride comes in late, and then they have all these little things that you're throwing and rattling, and it was just beautiful. But then we went up to this mountain. It was like a 30-minute drive up the mountain to this setting that literally you're immersed in this beauty. And it was dish after dish, but they paced the dishes. They had the appetizers first. So everybody's getting appetizers, they're getting their wine, they're getting their champagne. People are mingling, everybody's dressed. The color in Italy for men is like this beautiful, like sky blue. So sky blue suits and these women with flower dresses. And I just happened to have both colors. I had a flower tunic and blue pants. I'm like, oh, I fit in. And I'm just noticing the beauty of the people, the beauty of the landscapes. And then every dish that they presented. So like this risotto with this, whatever this, it was served with, like it was presented with such beauty that you couldn't help but be immersed and savor it more. And then the flowers, the sunflowers actually came. So I love that Reverend David's meditation had sunflowers, because sunflowers was the theme of the flowers at this wedding. And it was picked from their garden, from, the groom's parents' garden. And there was just like this bouquet and just these sunflowers everywhere. And there was music and there was dance and there was joy. And we got to the church at 10:30. We left the party at 10 before the storm came in, because we were up in the mountains, but the party went on at least a couple more hours. And this entire family and friends and extended family were there, immersed in the beauty of love and the beauty of the way they presented, and just the beauty of connection and celebration. And it is so imprinted in my psyche and my soul of what a great privilege it was to be there and to experience that, and to allow myself just to be immersed and inspired by such beauty. So Italy did that for me. The food, just the beauty, the art, the culture, the connection, the family. And so the invitation is just slow down. You've got this one holy, sacred moment, and allow your cup to be filled, because the world is complicated. The world does we experience suffering, we experience some challenges, but when you can fill your cup with beauty, it will carry you forward in those moments when you don't think that you have the strength and vitality. Like for me, I can turn to one of those memories and just like, but the beauty of God is everywhere and it's here now. So slow down, linger, rest, and just be in the beauty of the moment, and know that you're experiencing God in the deepest way, because this is the way that the divine dances in, through, and as us. So I just thank you. I usually pray out. So do you mind if I do a little prayer, Reverend David? Can we throw a prayer in here?
Absolutely.
All right, so let's just close our eyes and just bring into your awareness something so exquisite that makes your heart smile, and breathing into that beauty and that full recognition that this is God. That moment in your heart, that moment in your mind, that moment in your soul, that is how God showed up and continues to show up. And so it's in this awareness of the presence of God that I absolutely know that beauty is the way that it makes itself known. And so I speak a word of gratitude first and foremost for the beauty that I got to experience in Italy and the beauty of my daily life. But I know and affirm for each person here that they recognize the beauty of their own lives, even in the deepest challenges. That moment of beauty that is their touchstone of truth and the remembrance of the divine, that God is all that there is. That oneness of God, despite any condition, is pure beauty. And allowing that beauty to lift, to ignite, to inspire that fire of life within, and to remember that we are here to savor the moments, to connect with each other in beauty, to savor the delicious meals that are presented in such exquisite ways, and bella bellezza, for the beauty that each day is an offering to the divine wisdom and awareness, to the beauty of this world, an offering of love, an offering of joy, an offering of truth. So we breathe into this together in great gratitude for all that we receive and all the beauty we've experienced, all the beauty that we get to share through our talent and our way of being. And just to know that this is the way that God reminds us that there is something far greater that's experiencing and expressing itself. For beauty is how heaven arrives as earth. So we breathe into this knowing that it is so, beauty circulating as our being, giving thanks for this time together, giving thanks for this day, and giving thanks for the ability to see, taste, hear, sense, touch, smell all the beauty that is God, and the gratitude for our human experience, but in the understanding of our divine beingness, that I call it so beautiful and good. So let's take a deep breath together. We breathe in. And on that exhale with great gratitude, I let go, I let God, I let this prayer just be circulating in the world as beauty. And we affirm it together by saying, and so it is.